the undefeated BYU Cougars, ranked number 8 in the nation, travel on the road to take on the number 9 ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders. Don't you just love the Big 12, man? The Big 12 is so much fun. I mean, who would have thought in the preseason that when BYU would take on Texas Tech in the month of November, that this would be a top 10 matchup? I mean, I actually didn't expect it. I don't think many other people did. But I'm so glad that we're getting it. I'm psyched out of my mind for this game. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. First of all, before I break into predicting this game, and before I really talk about both of these teams, I wanted to first of all formally apologize to the Texas Tech Red Raiders. I did something that obviously was not very smart last week. I picked against the Red Raiders. I picked them to lose to Kansas State. Listen, I know. You can laugh. You can laugh if you want to. Sure, you have the right to. You have the right to laugh. I mean, I thought, Kansas State hadn't lost at home since 2008 to Texas Tech. I was like, there's a chance Texas Tech win this game, but Kansas State was hot, and I picked them to win, and it really just did not work out for me. And so feel free to clown me. Come on. Just bring it all in, whether you want to just say I'm a fraud, whether you want to click off the video right now, whether you want to, whatever you want to do. I mean, I deserve it. I picked Texas Tech to lose this game. And honestly, I have not done my due diligence on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. I have really not watched a whole tape or a whole game of film on Texas Tech. So I really had no idea what I was talking about. And they went out there and they didn't just win. They won by 23 points on the road against a white-hot Kansas State team. So all due respect to Texas Tech, I disrespected them, and they proved me wrong. They 100% proved me wrong. So I got to own up to that. I will. But now they got a different challenge. They got to play BYU, 11 o'clock local kick. The last time that these two teams played was in 2023, and BYU won in Provo, and they hadn't played before that since like 1941. So this is really the second matchup between these two teams in the last 2 years, and I'm excited about it. First time they played in Lubbock since 1941, so it's going to be a fun one. College game day is there. I think Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit are going to be on the call, so that should be awesome. And now I can really talk about Texas Tech. Now I know what I'm talking about, and I look at the Red Raiders, and I think they're the most well-rounded team in the Big 12 by far. I mean, by far. And honestly, the Big 12 obviously is not the greatest conference in the world, but hey, Big 12 might get 2 or 3 teams in this year. I mean, Utah's number 13. They've got 2 top 10 teams. Who knows? They could run the table. But anyway, Texas Tech, of course, you got to start with their quarterback, Bear Morton. And I think Morton is a good quarterback. I think he's talented, but I don't think he's at 100% right now. And I think you can kind of clearly see that in the BYU game. He was not at 100%. He did a lot of the hop drops. And what I mean by the hop drop is when you have like a little 3-step hitch and you're hopping on one leg because you don't want to favor the other one. I think that Bear Morton clearly is still suffering from that ankle injury. And I think that's a little bit of an issue. And I think he has arm talent. I think he can rip balls. I mean, he's got good arm strength. I just don't think he's 100%. So we'll see how that impacts the game. And honestly, it didn't really impact the game that much against Kansas State. He did throw that interception, but that was really good play by Kansas State, so I don't really blame him for that. But I will. Bear Morton is not great, in my opinion, outside the pocket. I think once his pocket breaks down, he kind of just throws up candy balls sometimes for the defense. I think that's why he's a little turnover prone. Doesn't take care of the ball as well as maybe he could. But Texas Tech has some dudes on offense. I mean, they just have some guys that are just beasts after the catch. I mean, both their running backs, 8 and 24. I know 8 is Williams. He's just an athlete. 24 is their best running back. He is just crazy, especially like yards after contact. There was one play against Kansas State that I watched where they were running counter, and Kansas State just like blew it up. And 24 broke 5 arm tackles and scored a touchdown. It was nuts. So all due respect to I'm not a name guy, I'm a numbers guy, so I know people that numbers. I don't have their names right in front of me right now. But 24, running back 24 on Texas Tech, that guy is a beast. You know who else is a beast? Is number 7, tight end. Wow. That dude is just an absolute freak athlete. And watch out for number 7, especially in short yards. They like to slip the tight end. 7 can just make a 5-yard completion, like 25-yard gain just like that. He's like 6'3", 240 as a tight end. So he's like a dominant running back, but he's also fast and athletic, and he can stride. So I really like these Texas Tech athletes and the people that they have around Bear Morton. I'm not fully bought in on their offensive line quite yet, but I think it's great, especially in Big 12 terms. I think it's fantastic. So this Texas Tech offense is really, really well rounded. 100% it is. And I look at BYU's defense, and I think they need to do two things if they want to win this game on that side of the ball. I'm talking about Texas Tech's offense versus BYU's defense. And the two things that I think BYU needs to do in this football game is A, they have to tackle well. Because like I mentioned, Texas Tech has dudes 24, 7, and 8 that can just absolutely tear you apart if you miss arm tackles. And I'm talking about broken plays that they can take and turn them into chunk plays because they are awesome athletes. So BYU has to keep those guys in check. They have to tackle well. And they've tackled well pretty much all season. But can they do that against, I think, the most talented team that they've played yet? We'll see. And then I think the other thing that they have to do, when I look at an injured quarterback like Bear Morton, and if I'm a defense, I want to make him as uncomfortable as I possibly can. Because he doesn't want to scramble right now. Bear Morton wants to stay in the pocket. He doesn't want to test out the ankle. I think it's his right ankle, or it might be his left. I don't know. Whichever ankle it is, he doesn't want to test it out. He doesn't want to put pressure on it. So if I'm the BYU defensive coordinator, I'm running one high safety, and I'm blitzing and running man coverage. And I'm making Bear Morton beat me. Because his ankle is injured, or because his ankle is injured, my bad, it's late. A lot of times he doesn't fully get his hips exactly where they need to be to beat man coverage down the field. So that's what I'm doing. I'm putting pressure on Bear Morton. I'm not a big man coverage person. Like if I was a defensive coordinator, I would run mostly zone coverage and make the offense beat me down the field. But in this case, I think that what BYU should do, and if BYU can do this, they will succeed, is run man coverage, and they have to tackle well in the open field. In my opinion, I do think that Texas Tech's skill players will make plays. I think that's kind of inevitable. But that's the main swing point is can they run man coverage and can they tackle? And then I'll flip it around. I'll look at Texas Tech's defense versus BYU's offense. With Texas Tech's defense, the first thing I noticed about them is their formation. They don't run a lot of nickel. They don't run a lot of dime. They run a lot of 3-4 or 4-3. And what that means is they either have 3 D linemen and 4 linebackers, or 4 D linemen and 3 linebackers. And nickel and dime have either 5 or 6 defensive backs. So basically what that means is that Texas Tech likes to have more linebackers and defensive linemen on the field and less corners and safeties. And I think that makes sense because their linebackers are elite. 10 is really good. 16 is really good. And, I mean, you might as well put your best players on the field at all times. Because of this, they run a lot of zone coverage because it's really hard to match up in man coverage when you have a linebacker on a wide receiver. You're kind of going to get cooked. So they run a lot of zone. They stop the run really well. I think they're giving up like 74. Yeah, they're giving up only 74 rushing yards per game. So they're stopping the run really well because they load the box with their linebackers. And they get home. Texas Tech gets home unbelievably well. They got the transfer number 9 from Georgia Tech. They paid him a lot of money to get to the quarterback, and he gets to the quarterback. He sometimes plays linebacker, but he's mostly just sort of a blitz hybrid type of player. He's really athletic. He's really good. And then 31, of course. I think his last name is Wilson. I'm really bad at names. But 31 is 250 pounds. He has like 11 and a half sacks this year. And he is twitchy and he is fast and he can get home in an instant. So he is going to be a game breaker. He has been a great game breaker this year. And you have to slow him down just a little bit if you want to have success as an offense. So this Texas Tech front seven, elite. It is very, very good. It can stack up with a lot of offensive lines in the SEC and the Big Ten. I 100% believe that. They're really, really good. But all that being said, BYU has an awesome player by the name of Bear Bachmeier. I freaking love Bear Bachmeier. This dude's a dog. If I'm being completely honest, at the beginning of the year, I looked at this BYU team, and I looked at Bear Bachmeier, and I said, first of all, why on earth is he wearing number 47? He's a quarterback. What are we doing? And then I said, he's a true freshman, very low recruit. He was like a 3-star recruit. So, yeah, he's not going to succeed. and BYU just runs the ball to LJ Martin. So Bear Bachmeier is just kind of there. Then I watched the Iowa State game. When BYU played Iowa State, bro, Bear Bachmeier is a dog. I love Bear Bachmeier. He's a dog for two main reasons. First of all, his arm. He's got a cannon. Bear Bachmeier is an absolute cannon. You should watch that dude throw corner routes. Watch him throw deep digs. He can layer the football so well. I think Bear Bachmeier has an arm on him. I think he's a great thrower. And he's also a heck of an athlete. Like he is just an amazing athlete. Whether it's making plays with the quarterback run game, plays outside the pocket. He doesn't have the best fundamentals, but he can make throws on the run. I really like Bear Bachmeier. I think he's an awesome freshman quarterback. He kind of reminds me of Baker Mayfield a little bit, just a little bit, especially on the run because he shuffles his feet a lot. He doesn't take these long strides. He shuffles his feet. I think he's great. And with Texas Tech, also number 2 on BYU, the outside receiver, dude's like 6'4" and can run. He's like a gazelle. He's special. So 2 and 47 on BYU offensively. Those are the 2 guys I'm looking out for. And I think, like I said, against this Texas Tech zone coverage, it's going to be tough to run the ball because Tech stacks the box and they have a lot of big boys on the field. BYU can run the ball really well. It's just they're running the ball for 216 yards per game, but Tech is giving up 74 yards per game. So something's got to break. It's either going to be Texas Tech's run defense or it's going to be BYU's rushing offense. One of them is going to have to give. And I think Bachmeier has to be good on third down, and he has to take care of the football. Texas Tech is second in college football in turnovers forced. So Bear has to be careful. He cannot throw into harm's way. That's one of the reasons Texas Tech won by so much against Kansas State. They only put up like 12 points in the first half, and then defensively they forced a lot of turnovers. They really turned it up. So I think that BYU can succeed offensively. I just think a lot of it's going to rely on Bear Bachmeier making big throws, making plays with his legs, and also keeping the ball out of harm's way. So out of all of that, I know that was a lot. This game means a lot in the Big 12. The winner of this game clearly is the number 1 team in the Big 12 standings-wise. BYU, of course, is undefeated in the conference. Texas Tech has the 1 loss to Arizona State. So if Texas Tech loses, they are now a 2-loss Big 12 team, and Arizona State is also a 2-loss Big 12 team, so they have the tiebreaker over Texas Tech. Texas Tech does not want to lose this game at all. If BYU loses, they have a little more breathing room because they only have 1 loss in the conference. If they win this game, BYU they don't have the toughest schedule in the world after this. They are most likely going to make it to the Big 12 championship with a win. That is huge. So the stakes of this game are crazy high. I think it's going to be a super fun game. Texas Tech, their offensive coordinator is really cool. They run a lot of fun stuff. Their playmakers are really awesome. And then Bear Bachmeier is just a freaking beast. So I'm really excited to watch this game. 11 o'clock kick. And me personally, I would love to pick Bear Bachmeier in this game because he's one of my favorite players in college football right now. And I would love to believe they're just going to go out there and just absolutely ball out and put up a masterclass performance and knock down Texas Tech. I would love to believe it just because I really like this BYU team. But I have to trust the playmakers of Texas Tech. They're tied at number 7 in their running backs. And I have to trust their pass rush and their front 7 to A, stop the run, and B, make Bear Bachmeier uncomfortable. So even though Baron Warren's a little bit injured, even though I don't think they're a perfect team, I am taking Texas Tech to get a huge win at home against number 8 BYU. And for the Cougars, it's very much so not the end of the season. They still got a lot of ways to go. But for Texas Tech, I think this is going to be a massive victory. And just another interesting thing about BYU, if y'all remember last year, they were ranked like number 6 or something like that in the first college football playoff poll. They were really high. They were undefeated. They were in the top 10. And then they lost like 3 of their next 4 games or something like that and plummeted and ruined their season. So hopefully that is not the case again for the Cougars. But I'm just saying that could be – I like Bear Bachmeier and LJ Martin way too much for me to predict that that'll happen. but they cannot let this loss get to their heads. I know that this is an emotional game. It's a top 10 matchup. It's one of their biggest games of the last 20 years. If they can, even if they lose this game, they have to not let it completely defeat them. Just like kind of what we saw with Penn State. Penn State poured all of their emotion into that Oregon game, and when they lost, their season was just kind of cooked after that. I mean, you cannot tell me that if Oregon won that game, that Penn State would go on to lose to UCLA and Northwestern. There's no way. It swept their season out from under them. So BYU cannot let that happen if they lose this game. And then for Texas Tech, if the Red Raiders, if the scenario plays out where they lose this game and they don't make it to the Big 12 championship, let's say they go 10-2, they win out the rest of their games, but they lose to BYU, does a 10-2 Big 12 team in Texas Tech make it in over a potential 9-3 SEC team? That we'll have to see. Texas Tech wants to avoid that happening, so a win here would be huge for the Red Raiders. So huge game. I'm riding with Texas Tech. Didn't pick them last week. I got them this week. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. So give me the Red Raiders to pull off a top 10 victory at home.